feeling so hopeless today. School started, and I hate my classes, and I don't even know how I feel about some of my friends anymore.
Did you hear that? Was that gunshots?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Quiet, quiet. We have to listen. We're gonna die. We're gonna die. No, we're gonna die. Get in there.
I've been feeling really down lately. My mom's been focused on my baby sister and my little brother, and my dad's been working really hard lately. And I'm just not happy with all the stuff that's been going on around me, and I have no control over it. The other day, Kay got pulled out of school because she was cutting herself. And then Carrie's brother recently died because he overdosed on some sort of opium. And there's no one I can talk to about this because my mom and dad are unavailable, and I really only have you.
Tonight, I have with me a very exciting, interesting man who's going to talk about what he does and how he helps people, Dr. Christopher Cortman. And if you wouldn't mind, could you tell us about yourself, please?
Sure, thank you. Well, first of all, I appreciate being here. I am grateful for the opportunity. And to introduce myself, you've already mentioned my name, which I appreciate. I am a Florida licensed psychologist. I just got my license recently, 40 years ago, and I have been in private practice ever since. I have facilitated over 85,000 psychotherapy sessions, 85,000 hours, we would say, and written 6 books and do a lot of public speaking and TikToks and things like that, because my emphasis has been on helping as many people as possible, not just one at a time in psychotherapy. I am all about trying to take years, like what is the profession? It's somewhere between 125 and 150 years old now, and take what we've learned and try to make it interesting and digestible for the common person, for John and Jane Q. Public, if you will. I want to make it so it's relevant. And so my very first book was about 10 simple truths that we don't teach people for some reason, and trying to take what we've learned in this science to help people. So that's really where I'm coming from.
I think that's wonderful. Yes, yes. I can't imagine having talked to that many people, but my husband and I are both psychologists, so we kind of, understand the importance of trying to make things so that they're understandable.
Yeah.
So you really seem to have dedicated your life almost to that. And the second question was going to be about your books, so I'm not going to even repeat that, but could you let us see into your books a little bit, maybe give us a sense of some of the things that you talk about in the books?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I had alluded to my first book, which came after 20 years of practice, and I co-authored it with a psychologist named Harold Shinitsky. And my original title for the book was 10 Things Someone Should Have Taught You by Now.
Oh, I love that.
But the publishing company changed it to Your Mind, an owner's manual for a better life.
Mhm.
I don't care what they called it, they were going to publish the book. So there are 10 simple truths in this book that I thought the average person should learn. And as I was putting it together at the end, I realized that there's a concept in the book that if you had these kinds of skills it would be the equivalent of what I might call a social black belt. If you had a black belt in martial arts, you wouldn't go looking for trouble, but you could pretty well handle anything that came your way. So imagine if there was such a thing as a social black belt, and let's say you were a high school freshman, you could handle bullies because you'd understand that their
Mhm.
behavior was about their own insecurity and not about your worth. You would be able to um, present in front of the class. You would be able to start a club or express your opinion or go to a party by yourself or walk up to a complete stranger and start in other words, you'd be good in your own skin because you would have kind of a black belt in all.
Mhm.
So the 10 truths are skills like understanding that all of our behavior is purposeful and everything we do, if we do it more than once, we get something from it, or we wouldn't do it. And so we teach people, why do people lie, or why do they self-mutilate, or why do they gossip, or why do they hold on to anxiety, or why do they keep resentment after years and years, even though it's stressing their nervous systems and promoting um, unwellness, if you will, and disease. And so we try to explain human behavior is purposeful and it's always with some kind of reward or we wouldn't do it. And so we teach things that all behavior requires permission from the self. Nothing ever just happens. I don't ever just hit somebody. I say to myself, if she says one more thing about that, I'm going to crack her across the face. All behavior requires permission. And so that's one of the 10 truths. And three of the 10 truths are about understanding other people better, including things like the more you understand another person, the less you take their behavior personally. That all of somebody's behavior towards you is about them. You're just a stimulus to them, like a Rorschach card. They're
Mhm.
projecting their stuff onto you and how they treat you, and so on. So the 10th truth is all about how humans heal. And the myth, of course, is that time heals all wounds. And we know that all time does is pass. And healing is active and requires ultimately letting go. I taught a 5-step process to healing, which is we got to go back to whatever's hurting, the unfinished business thing. Remember, feel, express, release, and then reframe. And I have had the joy of watching humans heal from so many horrible things, only if they're brave enough to take those things on. They have to take me back to when they were abused. They have to take me back to their combat, in war. Even though it was 60 years ago, we got to go back because you never finished it. And yeah, I'm sorry you were raped when you were 21, but it didn't get better and you're 74. So now we have to go back and we have to. So the 10th truth is this is how humans heal. Are you brave enough? Are you ready to go on this journey? So anyway, that was the first book. So I can just ramble on and on because I have 85,000 hours of this to talk about. I have a book out on anxiety. I have a book on getting over the worst thing that ever happened to you. It was called Keep Pain in the Past. And it's about people dealing with trauma. It's about people saying goodbye when there's terrible losses, which life is full of. You can't live 85 years on this planet without losing thousands of things and people along the way. Even if you have the healthiest life, it's a life chock full of loss and sorrow and hurt. You got to keep on saying goodbye. And we teach people
Mhm.
that that the healthy people do sort of like a shampoo bottle where it says on it, lather, rinse, repeat. And it's like love, lose, grieve, repeat. Love, lose, grieve. You got to keep on replacing your losses. The research says that people do their best work uh, later in life is if they keep saying goodbye and then replacing losses. Like, I'm really sorry that Muffy died. but we all got to go in the backyard and tell Muffy stories and cry and say how we're going to miss Muffy because Muffy was the best dog in the world. But then 4 months later, you better bring home Sparky and love again because life continues and we.
Yeah.
So anyway, so my books are practical in terms of helping people get over things that happen to them. And my last book, which is why I know you were contacted, is a book about a very simple technique that has been hiding in plain sight for centuries, and it's called guided imagery. I didn't invent it. I don't claim to have, invented a brand new technique, but what I've used it for, I don't know anyone else who's using it for that. And that's to bring people to places, terrible grief things, and traumatic things, to help them gain closure by doing an imagery where they get to finish something, say goodbye to something. And, if you were willing, I'll tell you some stories that I think are rather dramatic of
Yes.
how people in one session put something away that was tormenting them, symptoms of what we call post-traumatic stress disorder or complex post-traumatic stress, things that have been haunting people for years. And in one session, they get a better handle on it and put it away because we went back, revisited, and did something that gave them a different take, a different perspective. And so now it's in their minds, it's done better. It's okay. So again, I can tell you stories that are in the book. I can tell you stories that are not in the book. Today, somebody just dropped off a banana bread with chocolate chips, a card, and a onesie for my brand new. I have a baby daughter who's almost 6 months old. And I said, tell me which package is which, because the baby's not allowed to eat. And I don't look so good in the onesies anymore, because they just don't flatter me. Anyway, so it was her way of saying thank you. But what we did was we did some guided imagery that helped her say goodbye to some nagging things in her life, including unfinished business with her husband who died 4 years ago, and long-standing hurt from her parents. And we went in imagery and had her talk to her parents. And I spoke like for her mother. This is a Jewish American woman, 82 years old. And when she was growing up, her mother and father were keen on sending her brothers to school so they could become doctors, but she couldn't even go to college because she was just a girl. But she insisted she was going to go. And finally, they said, we'll pay for 1 year. Well, she made it all the way through to get her master's degree and became a teacher and had a successful career. But what we did in imagery was we had a chance to visit mom and visit dad, and I had a chance to express their sorrow and apologize and say things like, from the mother's perspective, that this is what I knew. This is how I was treated when I was a girl. And all I knew is that, we were second-class citizens at that time as women, and I didn't give to you what I know I should have. And I'm very sorry. And I'm very proud of what you've accomplished. And, that didn't really happen. It only happened in imagery, but she had a chance to finish that. She's at peace with her mother. She's at peace with her father. She's at peace with her late husband. And so the thank yous that I said she dropped off today was her way of saying, and it said in the card, nobody has ever helped me like this before. I have peace about all of those things in my life. They're
I
done.
think this is fabulous. I love what you're doing. It's
Thank you.
very rich and it's very promising. Yeah. I know a little bit of this type of stuff has happened in one of those programs where you can close, where you move your eyes, where your eyes are very involved.
EMDR, they call that.
Yeah, I've heard of some stuff that's somewhat similar,
Yeah.
but I think that this is even more to the point in a way that a person can really feel they got rid of something.
Well, thank you for saying that. A couple of things. Number one, I'm not going to say anything negative about EMDR. I know Ruth Shapiro has a great following with what she's accomplished, and people report that they've done fabulous things. I'm just going to say that I have never needed the eye movement part.
Mm-hmm.
I have, I have literally hundreds of these kinds of cases, and permitting your willingness, I'll tell some stories. And we never ever required eye movement. We did
Mm-hmm.
require finishing up unfinished things. The unfinished business concept from Fritz Perls's Gestalt theory has always fascinated me because people come in all the time with things that they're just not done with. And as long as I tell people, the mind is kind of like the stomach. Whatever has not yet been digested may repeat on you. The difference is the stomach can only do, 10, 12 hours, whatever. The mind can do a whole lifetime of unfinished things.
You know,
Go ahead.
I'm thinking of something that I've never revealed ever publicly, but I was sent off to music camp when I was 14. I wanted to go, and I had a boyfriend, and we both wanted to go. And it turned out that in the middle of the camp situation, he dropped me for probably a couple of other girls that everyone was figuring out. You could go into these little practice rooms and make out. So, things were happening.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of got thrown into the dust one day because I didn't want to be sold by his friends for a picnic or God knows what. But that story, that stuff around him and camp is as alive to me today as, so many years ago, because I never had a chance to get rid of it in an appropriate way. I'm just saying
Your,
that,
your self-revealing here is just so much appreciated by me and probably your entire audience. And you're exactly making my point that it's probably been a couple of years since you were 14.
it has
Mm.
been for
And
sure.
and that should have gone away if
Yeah.
time heals all wounds. But that's a myth. And what makes it go away is us finishing it. And so, humbly stated, you're not my patient, but if you were, I would say thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to give you several options as to what we could do together to put that away, because healing is active, it's not passive. And so I would say, do you want to write a letter to this guy?
Mhm.
Or do you want to do some imagery where we go in and minister to the 14-year-old version of you and have her express her feelings to him and have him apologize? I mean, I've got all kinds of stories
Yes, yes,
related to this, and I would do something like that with you, and I could almost guarantee that you would finally feel better about that because it would be done. And there's nothing crazy or wrong with you that doesn't feel done. It's just like it's unfinished. It's like if we bought a house and we decided to go into all these rooms and clean them and paint them and put new wallpaper and all of that. And then we said, I think we've done a great job. The house is done. And then somebody said, what about this one room? Oh my God, we forgot about it. That room's never been dealt with. And it's not going to get better because we did all the other rooms. We have
yes,
to
yes.
go into that one and minister to it. We got to clean that room. We got to clean all the rooms to have the house the way we want it to.
So
So
I
I'm
think,
saying to people, what do you want to finish?
yeah,
I have a lot. I live in the oldest town in the country per capita. Venice, Florida, has an average age of 69. And I think that's just Garden Elementary students. I don't know. It's an old town. And so a lot of people are here in their 80s. And I'm saying we got to finish these things now. It's like having a last will and testament. What do you want to do with all this stuff? Let's put it away before you die. And so, what isn't finished in your life? Tell me what's, they'll tell me abortions that
mhm.
they've never dealt with. They just locked it away. They feel pain. They feel shame. Whatever they feel. It's like it's never going to get better on its own. Why don't we do something to put it in the best possible place?
I think it's great what you're doing. And does your last book have exercises or anything close to what
Yeah,
we've been talking about?
yes, it does. The one caveat there is that guided imagery's first name is guided. And I think for
Yes,
heavy duty
yes,
stuff, it's
yes,
probably better to have a professional because
sure.
you're going to open up a can of worms. And just in case you're not doing so well with the worms, it might be helpful to have somebody who's been down the road a time or two.
This
Because
is
trauma, by definition, is traumatic, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Do you find that this works also for, say, a soldier that saw some things or lost some friends to drugs, things like that that are desperate, serious things? Have Does the technique have enough richness to it for that kind of discussion also?
Fabulous question. And permit me to tell this story as a way of answering your question. Try and imagine. So I gave a lecture once at a church, and the woman goes home, tells her husband, "I want you to see this guy. He's 100 years old, 100 years old." And he calls me up and we do a telehealth session. What's going on? She's in the background, and together they're telling me he's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from World War II, not Vietnam, not Korea, not World War II. 80 years ago, he was shot down in his bomber plane going over Romania, and he was taken as a prisoner of war, but that wasn't it. What was it is that he jumped out of the plane and he left his buddy behind to die. And he dreams about that and flails about in the bed and yells and kind of punches. And she's like, "You better do something. I don't like sleeping next to you. You become a wild man in your sleep." So I said, "Would you be willing to meet with me in person and do a guided imagery thing?" I explained it. He's like, "What do I have to lose?" So 100 years old, he's like climbing up my steps. He gets to the couch. We do a relaxation, 5-10 minutes, and then we go back to the scene. And something miraculous happens. He can see the scene because we put it up, in cases like that, I'll have him go to the movie theater and watch it on the big screen from the safety of the movie seat. I'm sitting next to them. He's got the remote. And then when it's over, you can go on the screen and minister to the younger version of you and put everything in the best perspective. What I don't know, because this is going on in the silence of his head, is that he sees something that he didn't even know consciously. He saw that his buddy was dead. He didn't leave him. He
Ah,
jumped out because his friend had died and he needed to save himself. He had 80 years of misery feeling guilty that he abandoned his buddy at a time of need.
ah,
So in one shot, 80 years later, he put this away. And I know that because I had another 3, 4 sessions with him, and he'd say, "We're finally good with that." And I'd say, "Well, now that you have me, what should I know about your POW experience?" He had a few things, but not that was the big thing. And I said, "You're really a fascinating guy, but we've kind of run out of stuff to work on." So I said, "Why don't we make an appointment 80 years from now
I
to get
love that.
follow up?"
Yes, yes.
But yeah,
Beautiful.
I have other stories of things that were
Uh,
unfinished from Vietnam and other stories from, other conflicts that we've had where people had to do something to finish a bad scene.
I understand. This is so interesting. Do you talk to people over the telephone from Florida in terms of
Answer to that is yes, because there is now something called SciPact, where I'm a member. You have to jump through a few hoops to be a member, but I'm eligible to work with people in 44 of the 50 states, and I expect that they're going to make it all 50.
Mhm.
So the answer is absolutely yes. And I like having that opportunity because it's not like I would do things so dramatically different if you're in Delaware as if
Mhm.
you're in Nevada. You know, healing is healing, truth is truth. So we're going to go after
Yeah.
whatever isn't finished.
So how should people reach you? What's the very best and easiest, simplest way if people want to find you?
SRQshrink.com is SRQ is Sarasota and it's like sarasotashhrink.com. But I'm on YouTube and I'm easy to find
Yeah. And we'll
social.
probably put this up on YouTube also. Yeah, so I really think you offered a tremendous, tremendous missing link to the public tonight, even talking with me, because the amount of people who are suffering from trauma just seems to be expanding by the hour. And a lot of those people are kids from very close generations to right now. But things have been off publicly, well, in the public schools, like my own kids faced drugs and stuff like that. It's been going on for a while. But those people, some of them made it, some of them didn't. They're now 50, 60 and sitting around still with their trauma.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you could be working every day. You won't have too much time to take care of your baby, So
Yeah, thank God the baby has a mother who does more
that's
taking care
right.
of her than I
Uh,
can.
I really enjoyed meeting you. I really hope we could meet sometime. It's
That would
really,
be great. And
your
if you,
energy is super, super, super developed without being inappropriate. And that's a hard balance. That's a great
thank you. That's
balance.
a kind compliment. And if you ever want me to come back, my answer is yes.
Okay. All right, good.
Cut out
Thank
any
you so
middleman and
much.
say the answer is yes in advance.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm glad I got to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.